Sikhs in the UK stand with Canada against India after the bombshell allegation that Indian agents killed Hardeep Singh Nijjar on Canadian soil.
All of this is just circumstantial.
India labeled him a terrorist, but we've seen no proof they ordered the hit. So could India really be behind this? Let's break down how its intelligence agency has changed in a way that changes the probabilities. What do you need to hear for you to believe that it's possible this happened in the way it's been described?
Having known how the Indian agencies work, I believe it is virtually impossible to pin it on them.
Why?
Why? Because even when they conduct certain operations in India's neighborhood, trust me, they've never conducted an operation like this outside the neighborhood.
To assassinate a Canadian here is just not their style and not the region they normally work in. That is the firm belief of the man who wrote the first academic work on India's International Intelligence Agency, the Research and Analysis Wing, or RAW, the entity effectively accused by Canada of murder.
All of this is just circumstantial. This kind of a theory can be built easily. Does India stand to gain if this man is killed? Most certainly, yes. But does that mean that India has done it? I think we need to be looking at a very different kind of evidence for that.
Why the disbelief? Well, partly that's history. Embarrassed by intelligence failures in the 60s war with China, Indian Prime Minister Indira Gandhi formed RAW in 1968. Largely to watch Pakistan and China infiltrate groups, disrupt plans, and protect India's interests. Then in 1993, 257 people were killed in bombings in Mumbai, the attackers hiding in Pakistan. The leaders of RAW were poised to go on the offensive, but word came down from Prime Minister P.V. Narasimha Rao not to show restraint, that killing wasn't the way to go. And that's the crucial and slightly unusual thing to keep in mind about this external intelligence agency. It's only ever answered to one office, that of the Prime Minister. So there's no legislative oversight. And largely, Indian prime ministers have wanted the agency to keep a low profile, operate close to home. But ambitions of prime ministers change, and Narendra Modi is a hawk.
If one starts looking at it analytically, I would also say that there is some evidence, broadly speaking, of a shift in India's approach to use of force in international politics.
This is Yogesh Joshi from the National University of Singapore. He sees clear shifts that make it possible Nijjar's killing, even as far afield as Canada, was a hit by Indian intelligence. He sees that there's now political license for it. Modi has increased funding for the agency. His national security advisor is a former spy. And at the UN, India's ambassador advocated for crushing what it sees as terrorism internationally. Moves popular at home.
Over a period of time, there has been a greater public support for use of force against terrorists, or what India calls anti-national elements or terrorists, right? And this political support comes from the fact that it has been a target of terrorism and anti-state violence.
In a ranking of 22 global leaders, Modi is already viewed as the most popular. Numbers that have even increased in the days since Canada's accusations. That matters for Modi. National elections are less than a year away.
When you look at Modi's domestic politics, he has nothing to lose. In fact, unlike Trudeau, his domestic ratings received higher approval. He has no domestic base in the state of Punjab. But even within Punjab, the recent Pew Research survey basically shows that the Sikh community within Punjab doesn't really share the sentiments of Sikh separatists in the diaspora.
So the question still hangs. Could this killing represent a new, stronger, more menacing approach from Indian intelligence? Evidence is unlikely to ever become public. National security just doesn't work like that. And for all the anger in India at Canada's words, it certainly seems like at home, the accusation doesn't hurt Modi at all. And we now know that a 35-year-old Sikh activist died in the UK this summer in hospital after a very short illness. Considering Canada's accusations, that activist's family is now asking for a formal inquiry into his death. There's more intrigue ahead as we break down an exclusive story of a stolen African prince.
He was under the protection, in a way, of Captain Speedy, who could speak Amharic, knew the boy.
He was a favorite of Queen Victoria, but he died tragically young and was buried at Windsor Castle. Last month, a lock of his hair was returned to Ethiopian officials, but they say that is not enough. Abby Kuathasan shows us how Ethiopia is ramping up pressure on Britain to return his remains.
Treasures taken from Ethiopia about 155 years ago being returned at this handover ceremony in London.
I'm going to be very happy to go back home and visit wherever these items are going to be displayed.
Leonie Turner was among the guests. She traveled from New Zealand with something she felt should be given back.
I just looked inside this one, expecting it to be empty. But inside, I found these two folded pieces of paper. I just prized them open a little bit, and I saw the two locks of hair.
Keepsakes at the time. One lock belonged to her great-great-uncle, Captain Tristram Speedy. The other to the young Crown Prince of Abyssinia, now Ethiopia.
And now it seems the time has come to return them.
But Prince Alamayu's journey starts with a letter from his father, Emperor Tedros, to Queen Victoria seeking a political alliance. Insulted when a reply did not come, the emperor took several Europeans prisoner, including the British consul. London did then respond by deploying 13,000 soldiers to northern Ethiopia.
The mountain fortress at Magdala was pretty high up, and you see the imperial residence and the compound atop the fortress in flames.
When British victory came, the emperor had taken his own life. Thousands of cultural and sacred artifacts were taken to England. The 7-year-old prince was too.
He was under the protection, in a way, of Captain Speedy, who could speak Amharic, knew the boy, had known the emperor.
Queen Victoria was fascinated by the boy. As a ward of the government, it was decided he would receive a formal education. That's how he ended up at Cheltenham Boys' School, where he struggled.
He hadn't quite hit the bottom of the class, but he was struggling at this stage.
Some historians say he was quite sad in a foreign land and died of pneumonia just before his 19th birthday. Queen Victoria wrote of him then in her diary. He was so sensitive, thinking that people stared at him because of his color, that I fear he would never have been happy. Alamayu was laid to rest at St. George's Chapel on the grounds of Windsor Castle, with a plaque that reads, "I was a stranger and ye took me in." Another letter was sent from Ethiopia to England in 2007. It was from the Ethiopian president at the time to the late Queen Elizabeth II. The request, repatriate Prince Alamayu's remains. Buckingham Palace said no. The palace said there was considerable practical difficulties around his removal.
I mean, as I understand it, the physical remains of the royals themselves, of the British royal family, have been moved in the past. There is a precedent for moving human bodies.
Dan Hicks is a professor at Oxford. He says returns and reparations are about respect and human dignity.
They're about what happens next when something that is almost built to make imperial violence, all of the ideologies of colonialism, to make those things last.
The wider conversation about what empire once took and can now give back is only growing, and Ethiopia isn't giving up on their prince.
Would like the remains to go back to his country and rest, but that needs careful understanding of the situation and careful handling. So we have continued working with the UK government.
The hope that Alamayu, whose name means I saw the world, may one day go home as he had wished and finally end his very long journey.
So one of the reasons the palace gave for denying the request is that they believe it would be nearly impossible to exhume the prince's remains without disturbing the other remains buried in the chapel. Ethiopian officials say they are not giving up. Coming up, the high cost of food is affecting almost everyone, including students.
It's been really hard to provide with the money that we get.
The push for a national school food program. That's next. There's a renewed push to feed hungry school kids across Canada.
We need to be doing things differently.
Every other G7 country has a national plan, but here, private donors fill the gap.
I'm not sure we can sustain it forever.
And food costs more than ever before. So Deanna Sumanac-Johnson is here to break down what gets served in different parts of the country and how the federal government could keep a big promise.
At this Catholic elementary school in Toronto, each child gets a morning snack.
What's your favorite snack here?
Yogurt. What are the grade 8s?
But the adults in charge of the snack program are getting nervous. Those eye-watering prices you're seeing at your grocery store, they're facing them here too. Their limited funds just won't buy as many little yogurts or pieces of fresh fruit as they once did.
It's been really hard to provide with the money that we get for the whole school year.
People like Janet Polo are having to make some tough choices. Expensive fruit rarely shows up on the menu anymore.
I brought them pears. Kids didn't know what's the pears, so they were so excited. So pear gone.
And while they try to give a kid a snack anytime they say they're hungry, not just at morning time, a tight budget means shelves on the fridge here are a little emptier.
It's heartbreaking when sometimes the kids come in and they say, Miss Polo, I'm hungry. Like, I don't have a snack for the whole day.
The program here is run by the Angel Foundation, a charitable arm of the Toronto Catholic District School Board that serves some 90,000 students. Its funding comes from a patchwork of sources, some from the City of Toronto, some from the province, and the rest through private donations or fundraising.
We're making up the difference. That's a huge responsibility. I'm not sure we can sustain it forever.
As unstable as that funding is, schools covered by this foundation are some of the lucky ones. PEI is the only province that has a universal school meal program where families pay what they can for a hot lunch. Yukon and Northwest Territories also have programs that cover most students. But in many other places in Canada, kids don't get any snacks or meals at all. All this is happening as increasing food prices are making it difficult for many Canadian families to provide nutritious food for their kids to take to school, making the question many have been asking for years even more urgent. Why does Canada still not have a nationally funded universal school food program?
We are alone in Canada, in the G7, and in most of the OECD countries in not having a national school food program. We need to be doing things differently.
Debbie Field is the coordinator of Canada-wide Coalition for Healthy School Food.
We now have about a third of the kids in Canada funded by provinces and cities, some by parents, some by other donors. So we have something, but we need the federal government to make it consistent and grow it, because right now the affordability crisis is really important.
You heard that right. Canada is the sole G7 country without a national school food program. So how did we get here? Researchers say it has to do with Canada's self-perception as a middle-class country where people can feed their children, something that these days isn't true for an increasing number of Canadians. Rachel Engler-Stringer has been researching school food programs across the world. She says there was a big call-out for such a program in Canada during the Second World War. But after the war, women were being persuaded out of the workforce and encouraged to stay home with kids again. And the federal government provided a little incentive.
But in the aftermath of the Second World War, Canada implemented the family allowance program, which was expensive. It did cost a fair bit. And the federal government made the argument that if we had a family allowance, there was no reason why parents couldn't then feed their children.
Eventually, that family allowance was replaced with income-based child tax benefit, but a school food program did not happen. Now, a tempting answer might be, wouldn't it be cheaper to just provide lunches and snacks for kids who need them? Experts say that stigmatizes families and isn't the best way to go about school meals.
Here in Cowichan Valley in British Columbia, Nourish Cowichan organization, staffed mostly by volunteers, serves more than 1,300 students in the region. Families sign up for meals with their school, but nobody will be turned away.
Any child who wants a snack or a lunch can access that through the school, whether they're on the list or not on the list. We really are focused on stigma and trying to make sure that there isn't any.
Here too, they rely primarily on private donations, but that money is getting more and more precarious. Federal funding would help them plan.
I think stability is the word, and predictable. We would know exactly the funding that's coming in, at least the baseline of that funding, and could plan for that.
People are telling us that
And advocates say providing kids with free meals won't be the only benefit. Healthy, nutritious food means less obesity and diabetes in kids, and it will support parents too.
I think this is a bit of an issue that really supports working women in the same way that childcare does, because it's probably working women listening to me now who are packing that lunch and worried about that lunch.
So, how likely is Canada to get a national school food program anytime soon? The Liberal government made a promise to fund one back in 2021, an investment of $1 billion over 5 years. While there's been some disappointment that it hasn't appeared as an item on a federal budget since, advocates say they're hopeful. In a statement to CBC News, the newly appointed Minister of Families, Children and Social Development, Jenna Sudds, wrote, following extensive consultations, there was overwhelming support from participants for a national school food policy.
It's important to eat your snacks so you can keep up with your work at school and so that you have a full stomach so you can be active.
What do we have here?
Yogurt, Cheerios, and oranges. Okay, give me that.
As these kids will tell you, healthy food just tastes better when you're eating together.
So, Deanne, I'm thinking about something you said in your piece, which is that the feds promised, I guess, $1 billion over 5 years. If they went through with that promise, would that actually be enough?
Well, the advocates we spoke to, Adrienne, are saying it should be, because it's not as though these programs need to be created from scratch. Actually, provinces and cities already pour quite a bit of money into them. For example, BC recently rolled out $214 million over 3 years to fund the school food programs in that province. So the advocates say it is absolutely possible to provide a nutritious school meal for every single child in this country, if the feds follow through with that promise.
There's the if. All right,
there you go.
Sumanac-Johnson, thank you.
Thanks.
Coming up, a Canadian pumpkin wins big money and prestige in a U.S. weigh-off.
Everybody laughs and smiles when they see something that big.
So we'd like to introduce you to the pumpkin grower who took his giant gourd on tour in our moment. You are looking at Dave Chan from Richmond, BC, kissing his giant pumpkin as you do, which weighed in at 2,212 pounds. So he's been growing giant pumpkins for over 15 years, and finally this one, nicknamed Mama, landed him the North American title. Tonight, his gigantic accomplishment makes our moment.
Let's hear it for our winner at $9 a pound.
So these things, in their peak growing times, put on, give or take, 50 pounds a day. So we got pretty excited about Mama right through the whole summer. It just kept growing and growing and growing. Knowing that this weigh-off in Sacramento was the largest weigh-off in the world, we decided that we'll take them down there and compete. And so between the two, we put them on a flatbed trailer. It was 3,800 pounds of pumpkin going down the road, and we got many, many, many cheers and funny looks and you name it.
Good, here it comes up here. We zeroed the scale, we cleaned the scale.
Everybody laughs and smiles when they see something that big. So that really makes a lot of people happy, including myself and my family and my wife. We just have fun doing it.
So what do you get for this? You heard him, $9 a pound, so nearly 20,000 US dollars for that. What do you do with the pumpkin after? Apparently you can sell the seeds. The rest go to farmers because pigs really like pumpkin. For all of us here at the National, thank you for being with us. You can watch anywhere, anytime on the free CBC News app. Subscribe to the National's YouTube channel. I'm Adrienne Arsenault. Take care.